How's it going, guys? Raj here. Hope you guys are doing well. Tonight I am back with a response video, and it is a response to Lupe over at the Lupe Experience. He has come up with the idea of the fragrance reviewers tag video. So in that video, which the link is in the description, he came up with a bunch of questions which he answered, and it was a really interesting video. Great concept, great to be a part of it. And the idea is that you tag people at the end and they do another video and they tag other people. This whole thing just grows, and it is. I've seen a few videos out there, so yeah. You know what, let's just get straight into the first question. No point sort of hanging around. The first question: what are your earliest fragrance memories? You know, I think scent is quite a powerful sense. It evokes many feelings, many emotions, and I think scent, you always register it at a young age, but registering a scent and remembering that scent 10 years, 20 years down the line is two different things. And my first fragrance memory, where it really stuck in my head, that somebody is wearing something on their skin and it was so unique, so different. And I think a lot of people experience this. You know, it's somebody in their family, their mum, their dad, brother, sister, uncle, grandparents. They tend to kind of have memories associated with immediate members of their family, and mine was of my mum. I remember when you know, before she left for work and before I went to school, she always used to kind of say goodbye, and I could always remember this kind of very sophisticated scent. It smelt comforting, it smelt nice, and that fragrance was from the house of Frederick Malle, and this fragrance came out in around year 2000. So this memory is going back around 13 years ago, maybe 14 years ago approximately. If it came out in 2000, maybe around that mark. So my dad bought this fragrance for her, so obviously straight after the release. And this is going back a long time, and I think maybe one of the reasons why I'm into fragrances is because of my dad's interest and my mum's interest in fragrances. And my mum actually used to have a bottle. She doesn't have that bottle anymore, but she did. And she, well, it's finished now, but she did have the travel size, the travel spray, Lys Mediterranee. Very classy fragrance. And yeah, I don't know why she hasn't bought it again, but she just hasn't. Yeah, so what was your first fragrance purchase? A bit of a difficult question, if I'm honest. I think I do know the answer. I do know for a fact that the first fragrance I ever owned was a gift to me. It was Versace Blue Jeans, and honestly I didn't like it back then, and I haven't revisited it, maybe because I didn't like it then, but I need to revisit it. But I think the first fragrance I ever bought in my early teenage years, for some reason unknown to me, was YSL's Kouros. The white bottle, I'm pretty sure that is Kouros, which is, I have revisited that fragrance, and it is weird why I thought it would be a good idea to buy that fragrance at that age. You know, think of Kouros and what it smells of, and that somebody at that age buying that fragrance was just really weird. So maybe I was into weird and strange things at a young age. But yeah, Kouros, I do remember having that bottle, and I even remember throwing it away. One day I was clearing out my room, and I remember putting my nose to the cap and thinking, how the hell did I buy this crap? And then I just threw it away. But I'm pretty sure that was my first purchase. So what was my first niche purchase? Now this is a little bit tricky, even though it was something that has happened more recently. And I thought about this, and I can't come to a definite kind of answer, but I think one of the first brands that I got into when exploring fragrances and getting into it in a deeper level was from Acqua di Parma. And I think it was maybe Colonia, one of the Colonias, maybe Colonia Intensa or Essenza, one of those two. Very classic citrus, affordable, nothing too expensive, and quite accessible in terms of where you can buy it and how it smells. It may have been a Santa Maria Novella fragrance, It may have been a Miller Harris fragrance, but I think it was Acqua di Parma. A great house, you know. I don't own anything from them now, but you know that's how it is now. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Acqua di Parma. Okay, so what was your first blind buy now? I do remember this. I'm just going to give a quick answer and it'll come back to it later. My first blind buy was Narciso Rodriguez for him, and I'm pretty sure there's different versions. There's like Musk versions. I'm pretty sure this was the original, and I'm going to come on to that later in another question coming up. What was my best blind buy? Well, actually, my best blind buy after the experience of buying Narciso Rodriguez for him, I tried to be a little bit more cautious, and I actually have that fragrance with me now. I've passed it on to my dad. I don't wear it anymore, but I knew I was going to like this because it's a really good scent, and it's very simple, and I knew I would probably like it. And this is from Alvarez Gomez, and this is Agua de Colonia Concentrada. Typical cologne, very kind of like a laid-back kind of Mediterranean feel, citrus florals, quite similar in the same vein of Acqua di Parma scent, and maybe not as well done, but so easy to just spray on a Sunday afternoon when the sun's out. Something maybe after sport, just throw it on, and it's one of those where it was very easy to let go, but I can definitely appreciate it, and probably one of the cheapest fragrances I ever bought, one of the best value for sure. Yeah. Okay, so what was my worst blind buy? Well, unfortunately, my worst blind buy was my first blind buy, Narciso Rodriguez for him. I gave it a chance. I think you should with any fragrance, but it just smells like death. It really doesn't. I thought it was awful. I thought it was awful, and I knew that it was a risky purchase, and I knew people were, the way from their descriptions, it wasn't a safe blind buy, but I just went with it. Another fragrance which wasn't technically a blind buy in the sense that I tested it, but I tested it on paper. I didn't test it on skin, and that was Thierry Mugler's Amen. And I remember thinking, yeah, you know, I saw a small 30 ml and I tried it on in the store, and it was one of those things where I was a little bit more relaxed or less kind of stringent with my purchases, if that makes sense. And I thought I just bought it. And I remember wearing it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to wear Amen for the first day, and I've seen all these reviews, and it's going to be a great fragrance. And oh my God, that opening on my skin, it was just terrible. The job I was at the time, we didn't have to wear like formal clothes or anything like that, so I was wearing a polo shirt, and I don't normally like button up my top button on my polo shirt, but I had to the whole day to just stop this thing. I tried like scrubbing it and wetting my chest where I applied it, because that was where it was coming from, and it just wouldn't go away. And I didn't go back to it. I only wore it once, and maybe that's not the best thing to do, because people say, you know, you've got to give it a chance, and I haven't given it a chance, I'm honest. But I tried Pure Malt, and I didn't like Pure Malt, and I thought maybe I'm just done with this Pure series, but maybe I'll go back to it one day, maybe. So what are your favourite fragrance notes? Well, with anything in my life, I always like variety. Whatever it may be, whether it be music, whether it be clothes, films, TV things, just general sort of news, entertainment kind of things, you know. I always like to know what is out there, and like to explore different types of things. And I think that's the same way with my fragrances, to be honest. I have maybe my fragrances in my collection are more on the sort of darker, richer side, but some of my favourite notes, I like sweet fragrances, but nothing too childish. I do like the kind of cinnamon vanilla combination, the Frappant 1270 style fragrances, the Tonka Imperials of this world. I like something like I do like a leather, kind of like a smooth, supple leather, nothing too harsh. Citrus notes done well, you know, like a Xerjoff 1861, or you know, fragrances like that, notes like that. But to be honest, quite varied. What is your favourite fragrance house? Honestly, I don't have a favourite house. To be honest, I think there's whenever you try several fragrances in a house, there's always going to be something that kind of lets you down, or I'm not saying lets you down as if like it owes you something, but you're not going to be impressed by every single fragrance, but there are houses where I own multiple from the brand or have owned. I'm thinking of Dior. I think their mainstream line, some of the it's just the best in the game. You know, even if you don't like them, you should be able to respect them and understand their significance and their impact on the industry. Fahrenheit, Eau Sauvage, Dior Homme, just like 3 incredible series right there, still going strong. Maybe some of the more recent releases may not be, some people are saying, maybe not that great, but it's still going. What else? I definitely respect houses like Chanel. Chanel fragrances, I don't really feel the need to own any of their mainstream fragrances. I find them maybe a little bit dull, if I'm honest. Bleu de Chanel probably being my favourite, but not really my style anymore. I definitely respect what they do. Houses like Thierry Mugler, I spoke about Amen, but I respect that risk-taking, you know, doing something a little bit different. But in terms of what I own, yeah, Dior, Guerlain is slowly becoming one of my favourite houses. The more I try from Guerlain, the more I realise that they are top quality, and they've got a huge array of fragrances, and I've got plenty of time to explore them, so that's good. Tom Ford, got to have a lot of respect for Tom Ford. I don't like everything he does, but certainly some of my favourite fragrances I own are from Tom Ford. I'm thinking of Tobacco Vanille, I'm thinking of Amber Absolute, I'm thinking of Black Orchid, probably three of my favourites. Yeah, I think those 3, you know, I'm always on the lookout for new houses, but the thing is, I do find it difficult to have a favourite because you're just not going to like everything that somebody comes out with. What fragrance best, is that the next one? What fragrance best describes you? Well, what fragrance best describes me, but how would I describe myself before relating to a fragrance? I like to think that I'm a kind of cool, calm, confident kind of guy. I'm not out there. I'm confident in my own kind of opinions. I'm opinionated. I'm not sort of loud, as I said. I don't like to be the centre of attention. I like to be measured and assured with my delivery of what I'm saying and what I think. I'm not afraid to show emotions. I'm not afraid to try different things. And it's difficult, this question, to be honest, but I came up with a fragrance that I think best describes me, and it's my #1 scent, and maybe that's not a coincidence. And you guys probably know, Clive Christian, C for Men. I think this is a fragrance for somebody who's willing to take on a risky fragrance, but nothing too outlandish. I think this has a sophistication to it. It's not too, it doesn't project huge amounts. You have to control this fragrance and be measured in its application. I think it's really top quality notes, ingredients, accords. It's maybe a little bit flash, and I don't describe myself as flash, but I don't mind splashing out and being a bit luxurious from time to time. Yeah, #1, and probably will be #1 for a long time. I haven't tried anything that's going to surpass that. What is your fragrance profile? Again, a little bit of a tricky question. I kind of know what you're getting at with this question. So what's my favourite fragrance profile? Well, I like things that are well put together. Whether it's a fragrance I will buy or not, I don't care. As long as it's well put together, you can tell an effort has been put into it. This is not a cash cow. This is not an afterthought. You know, it's not about the marketing, the bottle design, the name. That shouldn't come first. It should be the ingredients going inside the bottle. And I like fragrances that are not, and so if I'm going on to descriptions of fragrances, nothing which is a projection monster. I don't want to walk into the room and leave a scent trail behind me. And I have fragrances that are potent, but I control them. I like fragrances that are on the more sophisticated side and taking risks and being a little bit exotic. But I like sometimes stripped back fragrances, but still with enough depth to interest me. I'm not interested in just one note done to perfection. It has to have some supporting notes to it. And ultimately I like fragrances that keep me interested and make me think, what this perfumer has done, what this house has done, has to be just commended. And you know what? I'm happy to invest my money, my time, my effort, my resources into that. As an enthusiast, maybe it's difficult for people on the outside looking in, but as an enthusiast, I hope you guys know what I'm getting out there. What are your fragrance resolutions going forward? Wow, well, my fragrance resolutions are not too dissimilar to what I've been thinking over the past year and a half. And I'm not saying that I'm getting out of the fragrances, I'm not saying that I'm not interested in them anymore, but I'm less obsessed about it now. I'm investing less in terms of time, money, effort. I'm really satisfied with where I am at, and my resolution is to become even more satisfied, narrow down my collection a little bit more. I'm still selling off bottles, and my resolution is that I want to look at my collection and I want to say every single fragrance that I own is, if not spectacular, at least excellent, you know? And there are some bottles in my collection which aren't that way. I don't feel that way about them. And my goal is not necessarily to have a number, but to have a feeling of satisfaction when I look at my collection. Some people say that's unobtainable, it's impossible. But as I've started to cut down my collection, I used to have 130, 120 bottles. I now have about 23, I want to say 23. And I could see myself having a collection of just like 10 bottles, because you know what? And I don't mean this to end this video on a downer, but I think there are more important things in life, if I'm honest. And I'm really enjoying fragrances, and it's going to be part of me forever. But I think it's time to kind of just calm down a little bit. Because, you know, I've explored so much, and I get disappointed quite easily sometimes. You know, you try something and you think, didn't like that, that was nice, it was just okay, and then once in a while something comes along, and that's what keeps me excited. So my resolution is to keep going at a steady, slower pace, cut down my collection, not just for the sake of getting rid of bottles, but because I just don't need that much. I could use those resources on something else, on somebody else, for somebody else, you know. So yeah, who am I tagging? Okay, who am I tagging? Well, I'm not going to tag an individual person, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to tag anybody who is a reviewer, or if you're not a reviewer, maybe you're thinking about getting into reviews, but you are from the UK and Ireland. I do like to support, like, you know, as if I think somebody is a good reviewer and they're from the UK, they're going to have my support. And there are some great reviewers out there. You guys know who you are. At least I hope you know who you are if you're from the UK. So if you are a UK reviewer or potential UK or Ireland based reviewer, I'm tagging you. So Lupe, great idea. Well done to Max, Chad, and looking forward to Joe and Stephen's videos when and if they come out. And yeah, let me know if you guys have your answers to these questions or some of these questions. Let me know. And yeah, not much more to say except for thanks for the support, and see you soon. Bye.